Today, we're diving into bad marketing experiences. Both stories from us about questionable clients we've had, and tips for businesses to avoid getting into trouble when hiring a marketing agency. At the end, hopefully everyone will have a better understanding of the ideal client-agency relationship. And disclaimer, all names, dates, places, events, and details have been altered and bear no resemblance to any of our current clients who may be living or dead because they are all wonderful. Okay, but first, a word from our sponsor. Confused? Curious? Asking things your search history will never forgive or forget? Introducing the Questionable Question Hotline, the safe, anonymous place to ask bizarre, awkward, and even impossible questions. Just because the questions are dumb doesn't mean they don't deserve answers.
Hi. If I swallow watermelon seeds, will a watermelon grow in my stomach?
No.
Are there birds in Canada?
Yes.
Can I charge my phone faster by putting it in the microwave?
No.
Do fish know they're wet?
Yes. No. I'm sorry, what?
Okay, if a vampire bites a zombie, what happens? Like, do they both become zombie vampires? Hello?
The Questionable Question Hotline. No judgment, just answers. Call today. Welcome to Almost Productive, a podcast mostly about marketing. I'm Sean.
I'm Julie.
And I'm Addie.
And we are all marketing professionals at New Boston Creative Group in Manhattan, Kansas.
I might be calling into that hotline soon. What a good service.
It's very helpful, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So today I've got some would you rather type questions around sort of marketing client relationship. So first one, would you rather be ghosted after a proposal or have a client who calls you after work hours?
Ooh, how often are they? Man, sorry, the tables are turning. The tables have turned. How often are they calling after hours? Is that like a one-off?
It's like a lot.
Like
I think the idea
day?
is it's enough. Maybe not every day, but it's like every few days, a week, you're getting hassled.
Ghosted after a proposal.
See, I was going to say call after hours because we're not in the office. So who cares? It'll just go to voice.
In this scenario, they have your home number.
Dang it.
Yeah, they've got your cell phone. Still going with that one, Julie, then? Even if they got your home number?
Yeah, I'll just block the caller. I mean, I will get right to that call as soon as it comes in.
Good to know for clients. Next. Would you rather...
Wait, Sean, what's your answer?
Good call. Yeah, I think the ghosted after proposal. I don't want to be bothered. I can't be bothered. Sorry.
I will say, we're attentive people. We're very helpful people, but that's too much. That's excessive. Right. Every other day, phone calls to your cell phone at home.
Right.
I think we can all agree.
Right. I love all of our clients, but we set boundaries.
That's a good call. True.
Which is part of a good client-firm relationship.
Exactly.
Nailed it.
So, okay, next one. You have, would you rather, so a client who is responsive, loves what you do, but insists on using Comic Sans on everything, or one that is sort of the opposite, hard to get in contact with, wants to see multiple options, revisions, but you do sort of keep overall creative control. So the output is going to be, you're going to be proud of, but the getting there is going to be the problem.
When you say, oh shoot, I'm doing it too. Comic Sans and everything, you mean their marketing materials?
Yep.
Or like that's not just their font that they use in an email to us.
No, right. That's in like you are trying to develop this campaign for them, but it's going to be Comic Sans, and you're doing this website. It's Comic Sans, the whole bit. But they're great to work with, and they love you.
The journey is the destination. I want that love. We'll just make all of their campaigns about superheroes and comic books, and we're going to make it work.
Oh, this is tough. I think I'm going to go with the opposite and do the really painful client but the creative control is better because that's also better for them at the end of the day. Like, they don't want a campaign that has Comic Sans. No one wants that. People aren't receptive to that font. So I think it would be a hassle to get there, but the ultimate product and the performance of the campaign might be better if we could have creative control.
You might have sold me on that one because my first thought was also for Julie, like, go the Comic Sans route. They're super happy, but you're right. At the end of the day, the better product is the other one, even though it's going to be painful.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
That's a
now
tough
I
one.
sound selfish. Thanks, guys.
That's my goal here, is to just make Julie look bad.
Right. We
It's hard.
tag team on that one. And then last one is sort of similar, but work on a great project with a great client that doesn't actually launch. It just dies. Or a torturous ordeal with a bad product that does launch, that goes public.
Okay, sorry, I do have a question.
Mhm.
Are we getting paid either way?
Yes.
Then I'm going to go with the first one, I think. Like, the product at that point doesn't matter for either because the world will not be seeing the product. So I think I'm going to go positive experience.
Sean, you answer next.
I think I'm with Addie on this one. The positive experience more than having a torturous ordeal that a product does go live and it does launch and people can see it, because I won't be happy about it anyway. So seeing it out there might just bring up bad memories of that project and that client. So I'd rather just have a better experience, and it doesn't happen because of other reasons.
And I believe you did say the product was not a good product either. So the experience is bad, the product is bad. So why would you want to be part of putting that out?
Right.
This time you're protecting the consumer, not the client. And that's important too.
All right. So we're all on board on this one. Good.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
All right. So now into the meat of our discussion. So first, I'm going to start off with what I'm referring to as the agency issues. So these are issues that clients have with an agency. So the first one that I'll talk about, and I figured we'll go through these and we can sort of talk about if we've had any experience or know people who've had these experiences and how people can sort of protect themselves from them. The first one would be just being ghosted after payment. So you hire this marketing agency and you pay them their down payment, and then just nothing. They just sort of like disappear. I haven't had any experience or heard people sort of deal with this other than sort of your sort of smaller, sort of like single person shops, freelancer types, where someone finds someone who can do a website or a logo, and it's just a single person, and they, pay them over PayPal or whatnot, and then they just can never get back in touch with that person to complete the project. I don't know if either of you have had any experience with this.
I think the way to protect yourself against that is to not come up with some terms where it's not payment in full right off the bat.
Or the importance of reviews. I feel like, especially in the freelancer community, if you find someone who's pretty trustworthy or has a lot of positive reviews, which is a bummer because then it's harder for new people to start out. But as a business, you have to protect yourself. And yeah, reading reviews and making sure that the person you're working with is legit is probably smart.
Yeah, I think this one is a tough one. Like, you do have to do sort of your research, like see what work they've done, see what clients they've worked with. And if they are sort of a smaller place, if they're not local, being able to have references that maybe you can contact to be like, okay, this person actually did work for this person, and there's a little bit of a background there. And to Julie's point, setting up the terms so that the payment's decided on. You will probably, even if someone is reputable, you're going to be paying upfront some amount. So making sure that's sort of divided up in a way that makes sense, at least to protect yourself as much as you can on that one. Another issue that you'll run into and hear about is overpromising and under-delivering. And I was thinking about it, that doesn't even necessarily have to go together. Sometimes you can just under-deliver. You can promise a very specific thing and then just not get there. You don't even have to over-promise to under-deliver.
This might be my answer for most of these, Sean, but I think that, again, looking at someone's portfolio or contacting references or looking at their track record is really helpful, because chances are if they've done good work in the past, they'll continue to do good work for you. But if a reference has kind of, they were fine, or kind of a wishy-washy answer when contacted, then maybe avoid.
If there are any terms, like if there is a proposal, to make sure you read it and understand. Like, if you don't understand something that they're pitching, ask for clarification so you can make sure that you're getting what you actually want and need.
Yeah, and I think it's paying attention to some of those promises, and if it seems too good to be true, it probably is, and sort of realizing what's realistic. And if someone's saying they can do something that seems really difficult or sort of far-fetched, it probably is. The timeline seems too good. You're going to get number one on the Google search results in 2 weeks. Like, these are sort of red flags to sort of pay attention to when talking to an agency.
Good call.
Another one that we run into sometimes is a lack of control or input in their marketing. So the agency, a lot of times for us, this can be like on their website. They build them a website, but then they can't edit the website. They have to keep coming back to the agency to make any updates, or they roll out designs and there's no input being given. So making sure the process that the agency is going to go through when doing any sort of service for you.
This is a really sad episode. I'm getting bummed out. And I think we should clarify, when Sean is saying we run into this, not our clients with us, but our clients who have been let down by other firms.
Correct.
Or just the scuttlebutt on the street.
Yeah, I think that's the one that I've heard about the most from clients who come to us and complain about things, is website or Google Analytics or Google Ads. Like, something was set up for them, their account was created by a previous firm, and then they have no access to it. They have no idea how to claim it and edit it and then run their ads, which to me feels very dishonest. It's such a bummer that firms are out there doing that. But I guess, yeah, if you're looking to hire a company, make sure that you're reading, that's not even the fine print, but just reading the proposal, reading what you're signing, and making sure that you'll have some access and autonomy over those things after the project wraps.
Yeah. Everyone should have access to their data.
Yes.
That drives me bonkers.
Yeah, I think that's something that people probably don't even think about, that they need to even ask for or pay attention to, that they either just assume it or they don't know they can even have it. And it's like, yeah, this can be in your control. You can have access. You can do these things. Someone doesn't need to be holding this stuff hostage for you.
And then knowing how to do it as well. I know that we do that with all of our websites. We have a training session with the client when it's done, so they know not only do they have access, but they know how to use that access to make changes. And I think that that's really important. That's something to look for as well.
And then another one would be an agency that is just rolling out the same process, the same templates. They're purchasing, a WordPress template that they're reusing a whole bunch, or they're just using the Canva templates, and you're not getting anything that's actually personalized for you. You're paying this one-time fee, and then they're just rolling out all this pre-processed stuff they have, regardless of your business. And one sort of area that I see this a bunch are the sort of industry-specific sort of companies, where it's like, oh yes, I have a doctor's office, and I've hired this doctor's office agency that's all they do is doctor's offices, and all the websites look the same. All the copy is the same. They just change out the name of the client, and it's very generic and sad.
Yeah. And not great for search engine optimization either.
Right. You're not getting the benefit of it in that way.
Portfolio, portfolio, portfolio.
Right. And I think a lot of times those places they'll give you other benefits, like that you're getting some very specific help, but then along the way it ends up getting a lot of templated stuff. And so it feels like you're getting a lot of value added, but it's not coming through in the actual sort of business end of the marketing.
Yeah. And we tend to see a lot of stock photography in those. And something we often tell clients is, be authentic, show photos of your real personnel, your staff, your employees, your location, so that if someone's going to the website, they're going to get a sense of who is this company? Who are these people? Not just stock image number 24. Smiling mother with child.
Yeah, if you're a business in Manhattan, Kansas, and you have skyscrapers showing Manhattan, New York, that's probably not a very good look.
Right. It's sort of like a problematic thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then last one I'll sort of mention is just a general lack of communication and transparency about what the process is going to be, what the, things like what the fees are going to be. A lot of times you can run into, you're thinking you're signing up for this, and then as the process goes along, you start asking for things. Those end up costing money that you thought were included, or you don't know what's happening as far as where you are in the process, and all of a sudden you're being presented sort of the, maybe a final design, and you didn't, you never saw previous designs. So making sure that when you're signing up and hiring an agency, that you know how involved you are going to be and how involved you want to be in that process.
Yeah, because some people don't want to be involved. They're like, just take this, I don't have time. But other people do.
As far as being blindsided, I would just say it can be intimidating, but ask questions. Ask all of the questions and clarify things and make sure that the proposal is written in a way that you're comfortable with. And it can be, especially for people who aren't in this world, I do think it can be kind of scary to put all of this money to a project. So if you're making that investment, it's really important to know what you're going to come away with and what steps and the review process, like Sean said. And if the person you're working with makes you feel stupid for asking questions, that's probably not someone you want to work with.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So now I'm going to flip it, and we're going to talk about, from our perspective, the agency's perspective, how do I say this nicely? Clients who are
hypothetical clients.
Clients who may be a little more difficult than we would prefer. And so I've got a list of their less than ideal quirks.
Nailed it.
So first would be scope creep or unpaid revisions. So again, flipping this around from our perspective, you've got a set of a project, and you set what the deliverables are and what the process is, and then along the way, things start to sort of go off track. Things grow. Clients ask for, what about this? And if you do this, and it's real easy to say yes. It's real difficult to say no. And then all of a sudden you're sort of digging yourself a hole in the budget, and you just don't know what to do. You sort of get too far away from it.
That's what bosses are for. Because I always want to, create a good experience. And yes, of course. Yes, we're happy to help with that. And then let Sean deal with them. Never. I would never.
No, but it is a good point. Like sometimes you just have to step in and, yeah, if I can make sure that you're protected and I can be the bad guy, like sometimes it just has to happen to save a relationship from both sides of like, okay, they're going to still like to work with Julie because like I was sort of the mean person. And then on the business end, like, okay, maybe we cut the excess hours down so we're not over budget, or maybe I'm able to have them pay for some overages. Then it sort of works out on both ends. We can compromise.
Yeah. We've also worked with clients before who we started off saying, okay, this is what they want. We come up with a proposal. And then as we dive in, we realize, you know what, we wouldn't best be serving you by doing this, and we will adjust scope. And so with full buy-in, not surprising them within this information, but to work and say, have open, honest conversations to say, we think what you need is X, Y, or Z. Instead, let's work together to make sure you're getting what you need.
In transparency on our side, I think that sometimes clients that we're working with ask for something that they think is just a quick and easy, like, oh, that's not going to take long. Can you help me with this? And then the impetus then is kind of on us to say, we would love to help you with that. And that's going to take about 10 hours. So if you're comfortable being charged an additional XYZ, then definitely let's make it happen.
Yeah, and I think that rolls nicely into another one that I have, which is sort of unreasonable expectations. And sometimes that can be just someone who, wants something to go viral, not knowing what that takes to actually do. But they're sort of really aggressive about it, or they don't have a realistic budget for the things that they want to do, and don't really think anything of it because they don't think what we do is valuable enough that it is that expensive. But then on the other side, sometimes it's just a person who doesn't actually know how long it takes. They don't know all the things that go into it. And then once it's explained to them, they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And then they're willing to sort of go, increase their budget or go the extra effort or adjust to based on what the actual things are. So you sort of have people on both ends that you run into.
I know we've talked about this before, but really stellar work looks effortless. And sometimes you think, oh, well, it was effortless, but it takes really hard work and a lot of background knowledge and experience to produce nice, clean, sharp work.
Another one is sort of similar, but micromanaging the project from the client end. And I'm going to sort of put this one with it, which is designs by committee, which have a similar effect, which is the having too much input from too many angles ends up sort of muddying the project, and you sort of lose that singular path and that direction that you started with.
Yeah, too many cooks in the kitchen can get rough really quickly, especially with logos or design projects by committee, like Sean said. You can't really combine 20 people's ideas into one singular thing. So on the client side, they really need to come in with people, maybe a core, like 4 stakeholders that they trust that kind of know the vision. And then maybe those 4 are in charge of revisions. But the more people you bring in, exactly, the more muddied everything gets.
And the more average the work, because what pleases the majority of the people, average work.
Right. And a lot of times it can even cost more because you're having to go through more people's opinions and deal with those people's opinions in different ways, whether it's, you're having to do another revision because someone doesn't like blue, and there's other person like red, or you are making micro changes for every little thing and something's never getting approved because every version has to have something just tweaked a little bit, or something that could be dealt with later has to be adjusted and seeing another revision. So it ends up just drawing out the process longer and longer. Another one I have is getting ambiguous feedback. So things like it doesn't pop enough.
Yeah, that one's hard. I guess, again, that's kind of our job to withdraw, like ask more follow-up questions. What do you mean by that? Like, can you give me an example of how this could be improved, or what's your vision compared to what it looks like now? And that's kind of our job, to be detectives, but it really can be like pulling teeth sometimes with people. You're like, okay, great. We're on question 7 and you still have not given me any tangible feedback. We're going to be here forever.
Right. Yeah. I think you made a good point there about us as detectives for people sometimes. Because again, there are people who don't like things and only like what they like, but then they just cannot explain it at all and don't seem to care to explain it. And then there's people who truly don't know how to say what they want, and you do have to sort of dig that out. And once you get there, then it ends up being fine. You figure out that what they meant was, this looked cluttered meant it needs more white space. Things were too close together, or they wanted rounded corners instead of square corners, and that made it look too harsh. There could be a lot of things that they're saying, but what they mean ends up being something else, and having to suss that out, like you said, through other references, looking at other things that they do like to sort of figure out, when they say they like it modern, they mean this, even though to you, maybe modern meant something else.
Definitely. Yeah. The subjective nature of the job is fun and also challenging.
The last one I sort of mentioned, this sort of rolls into some of these are sort of blurring together, but the clients who think they're a marketing expert, and maybe they are, but it doesn't really work for you to hire us if you're the expert and you're just going to end up telling us what to do. That's not quite the relationship that we want to have with a client. We want to sort of have it be reciprocal, where we're both providing ideas and building to something. And if you just come in and want to sort of steamroll through it, we're probably not the agency for you in that relationship.
I'd say the best relationship is really a true partnership, and to be open, honest, transparent on both sides, and have everyone commit to that. You'll get better work and you'll get better marketing when you do that.
So I think now we can sort of roll into what I consider sort of like a checklist. And we've sort of mentioned a bunch of these things, but together we can sort of summarize, I think from both ends, because a lot of times they end up being from the agency and the client. They help both. They help protect both. So we talked about one of our items being a clear contract between both. So having the agency and the client for both of you have a contract set in place that outlines what both of you want and what both of your expectations are.
Including in that the budget. We often ask, how much do you want to spend? Because we could come up with a number, and for what you're asking, it might be exactly in the zone or more than you wanted. And so to think about how much you're really wanting to spend, it's an awkward question, but it's ultimately will ensure you're feeling better about that professional relationship when you do hire a marketing firm.
Not only the overall budget, but for both of your sakes, tying payments to milestones. So we talked about, okay, you're going to be having to pay so much up front. What is that? And that's for what parts of the project. And then maybe there's another payment halfway through, and that's going to cover these bits. And then there's a final payment or whatever that's going to be, setting up that structure so that both of you are comfortable with payment as the project goes along. Next one would be setting realistic expectations and boundaries in the contract. So again, making sure the whole process is outlined, what all the details of what the agency is going to provide, as well as what the client needs to provide, so that you're both on the same page during the project and no one's sort of surprised during any of the phases.
And I would just add timeline in there. You might have that already down the list, Sean, but included in the proposal in the contract, have a pretty set timeline so everyone knows what to expect.
And touching on that throughout, like, hey, our next steps are these. So they know, right, that's where we are. We're in this phase. Here, I know what to expect. I know about when to expect it. You should be hearing from me in 2 weeks.
Yes, communication and check-ins is the next one. So you're both sort of touching on that. Yeah. How often are we going to be meeting? When do I need to be available for these meetings? How long are they going to be? Yeah, along with the timeline so that everybody knows what they need to be working on to meet the deadlines. And how often are we going to be sort of checking in on the progress of the project? And then finally, I think having basically a mutual off-ramp clause, something that lets you both out in the event that it's not working, and no one needs to sort of suffer through it if it just needs to be called off. So having a way that both of you can sort of step away when necessary, and both sides can sort of part when necessary. Anything else that I haven't touched on that you think is important for the client agency relationship?
I think that's a great list.
Yeah.
Any stories that you want to add?
Can't even remember details now, so no. There was a client, I'll call her Mary, and For a long time, she was my running joke of, oh no, not Mary again, or oh no, let's not work with another Mary. And I, again, can't even remember specific examples, but she was just hard to work with. She was not a pleasant, well, maybe that's something. She wasn't a pleasant person to be around. So, you know, you don't have to be an angel all the time, but just being nice to people that you're working with, I think goes a long way.
Yes, I had a similar one. I'll call him Adam. And at one point, I had to set up a filter in my email to take emails when he would send them. It would skip my inbox and go right to a folder for Adam. And then I would check it maybe the end of the day or the beginning of the day. So like once a day, I would check for Adam emails because otherwise I was getting a lot. And yes, they were not pleasant, and some were even, you would say, insulting. And so I had to really sort of steel myself from Adam.
So I'll redeem myself from my earlier answer and do the flip side, which is I've had a lovely client. I'll call her Mandy, and we've worked together long enough. She trusts me. I trust her. When she sends things my way, she knows I will get them done. When I ask her for input, I know that I'm going to get a good, helpful answer. There's not micromanaging, but there's always direction if I need it. And partnerships like those are founded on trust and open communication. And so they are not all horror stories. We've had many, many lovely clients.
Yeah, I'll even turn mine around. Adam is still a client and is actually completely fine to work with. A large part of it ended up being communication breakdowns and personality differences. And once I was able to learn a little bit more about how they communicated and what their personality was, then the tone that I was reading into these emails, I could then get past and understand them better. So yes, sometimes it seems even worse than it actually is, and you can actually turn that relationship around.
Yeah. And sometimes it may be that a person is dealing with a lot of other stuff, either higher up in their organization or personally, and you may not get warm and fuzzies, but they're good, they're good people. They're just battling some battles that we may not know about.
To both of those points, I think that's the benefit of long-term relationships. It's so much nicer to work with someone from both perspectives for a long period of time because you build that trust and you know that the firm you're working with has your interest at heart and is going to do everything they can to make you look good, and vice versa, that you have maybe not autonomy over your client's work, but you have input enough to where they're listening to what you're saying and valuing your input. So the longer that you can maintain those relationships, I think the better product for both parties.
So I will close with a couple jokes. These are courtesy of me Googling. So I ordered a deck of cards online, and 2 weeks later, it had not arrived. I called customer service, and they told me they were dealing with it.
I like that one.
Nice.
Thank you. Next. I was a little taken aback when I got the bill from the funeral parlor. On the bottom of the receipt, it said, "Thank you. Please come again."
Marketing faux pas could be its own. Yeah, that's
very
funny.
true. Very true. Thank you for listening to this episode of Almost Productive. If you'd like to learn more about what we do at New Boston Creative Group, you can reach us at newbostoncreative.com. You can also follow us on social media at New Boston Creative on Instagram and New Boston Creative Group on Facebook and LinkedIn. If you like this episode, please like, follow, subscribe, leave a review, and share the podcast with your friends. And if you didn't like the show, feel free to recommend us to your enemies. Tune in next time for some more office shenanigans, thoughts on trending topics, and marketing adjacent insights. Until next time, we hope you have a productive day. Well, thank you both for the lovely chat. Goodbye.
Goodbye.